that aligns with those goals every day. It might be 5 minutes, it might be an hour, but you make it a priority. Oh, Eric, Stop. Don't tell me you're too busy. Because guess what? Welcome to Life of a CISO. I'm Dr. Eric Cole, your host, and we'll be taking you on a journey each week on what it takes to be a CISO and what are solutions that you can implement today if you are currently a Chief Information Security Officer or if you want to be one in the future. This is Life of a CISO. Welcome to this week's edition of Life of a CISO with yours truly, Dr. Eric Cole. And if this is your first time with us, welcome. And if you're a repeat listener, thank you. If there's any episodes or information or topics you'd like us to cover, please just drop a line below and I'd love to cover it for you. As you all know, we're about world class here. If you want to be average, if you just want to survive, if you just want to be good, this is probably not the right podcast for you because I'm going to push you. I'm going to push the limits because world class is all about taking it to the next level. And for those of you that want to be a world-class CISO, if you haven't signed up for my CISO certification yet, definitely want to do that. secure-anchor.com CISO. You're going to get 40 hours of knowledge transfer. You're going to get 6 months of group coaching with yours truly. And you're going to also get private access to a group of people just like you. And I can guarantee you that if you put in the time, energy, and effort, it will be life-changing. In 6 months, you'll have a different mindset, a different focus, and hopefully a different job or different career depending on what you're trying to pursue. So if you really want to become a world-class CISO, don't put it off. Either go to secure-anchor.com/CISO or email me at ecole@secure-anchor.com, and we'd love to connect with you and get you into that program. World-class CISOs know where they're going. They know where they're going. They have a very clear vision. If I sat down with you and asked you, what is your mission statement for your life, for your career? What are your goals? What are you going to accomplish by the end of 2021? What are you going to accomplish by the end of 2022? Would you be able to clearly answer that? Average people let life happen to them. Average people just show up and see what occurs. World-class people and world-class CISOs control their destiny. They know where they're going. And I was reminded of this. I do enjoy movies. That's sort of my probably one sort of fun thing, right? When I take a break, I just love relaxing, watching a movie. And what I'm always doing with movies is, regardless of the movie, I'm always looking for what are lessons or little stories you can take away from it. And one of my favorite ones that might shock you, right, is Bad Boys for Life, right? If you don't like Bad Boys like Will Smith, come on. I mean, there's something wrong with you. I mean, that just is one of the best series of movies. And one of my favorite scenes in the last Bad Boys for Life movie is when Will Smith's character is sitting down with the captain at his daughter's basketball game. And he tells Will Smith this story. He goes, there's a monk that's walking down a path. And as he's walking down a path, this man on a horse comes flying towards him and just riding out of control. And the monk has to jump to the side and falls over and gets a little dusty and gets up. And he yells at the guy and goes, where are you going? What are you doing, man? And the guy on the horse looks at him and says, I don't know. Ask the horse. And it seems like a weird, bizarre scene, but if we break it down, what I love about it is the horse represents all of the fears and all of the things that are controlling us in life, all the things that we're afraid of, the limiting beliefs, the things that we don't think we can, what's basically steering us and deciding what we're doing and where we're going. But if we ever just stopped for a second, got off the proverbial horse, right, stepped away from those fears and said, where are we really going? right? Where are you really going? And it's a pivotal scene in the movie because like Will Smith is caught up with a lot of past demons and the captain's trying to get him to really figure out, where are you going? What is driving you right now? And what I want to do is just pause and break from the movie Bad Boys. And I just want to ask you, just have a serious conversation for a minute. Where are you going in your life? Right now, where are you going? Is it really taking you towards your goal and aspirations? Some of us, probably yes, but I bring this up as you know, in my life of a CISO, I bring up what I see appear in the coaching. So I've had multiple coaching sessions over the last week, and this has come up a lot. And it's coming up because regardless of whenever you're listening to this, but this is being recorded early November 2021. So I had multiple of my coaching clients tell me, Eric, this year really didn't turn out the way I thought it would. I thought 2020 was a cluster, you know what, and 2021 wasn't much better. Or I've had people go, how is it already November? I don't really know what happened to the last 9 months or 10 months. And I don't really feel like I've accomplished my goals or visions. And I sort of always stop and ask them that question, where are you going? What is driving you? When you get up each morning, are you being controlled by the firefights and everything else? Or do you have a clear focus and a clear vision on what you want to accomplish and where you want to go? So I urge you that if you don't have this, first thing that you must do is have a very clear mission statement. What is your mission? What do you want to accomplish? And then once you have that clear focus and mission statement, then I want you to go in and I want you to identify 3 goals that if you accomplish those 3, that it will advance you to your mission statement. And I only want you to pick 3 right now. But Eric, what if I have 5 or 6? What are the top 3? Well, Eric, I can't decide. Well, then pick 3 and move on, because guess what? Once you accomplish them, you'll have another one. So this isn't right or wrong, right? If you really honestly believe that all 5 are equal, then just take the first 3. One of the things I always do is I brainstorm, and I do this monthly, so I just finished this for the month of November, is I'll go in and just start writing down a bunch of things that I'd like to accomplish. And then I sort of map them to what are goals or things I'd like to accomplish over the next month. And I'll write down a bunch of stuff. And then I go through and I say, does this align with my mission? Because there's distractions, right? There's things that are on there that, yeah, you might have thought about, but it's really a distraction. It's not going to get you closer to your mission, so I take those off. And then if I have about 10 or 12 items, then it's a simple exercise. I take the first item and I compare it to the second item. And I say, is this more important? And if the answer is yes, then I move to the third item, if this is more important. And if I get, let's say, to the fourth item, and it turns out the fourth item is more important than the first item, well, guess what? Then I take the fourth item and I continue comparing that down the list. And you go, Eric, but don't I have to go back? No, because remember, if the first item was more important than the second and third item, and the fourth item is now more important than the first, that means that it's also more important than the second and third. So you see how cool that is. So if one becomes higher, you do that. And when you get to the bottom, whatever one survives, that becomes your first goal. And then repeat it until you have 3 items. So easy way to prioritize and focus on what you want. And then every day when you wake up, you write down those 3 goals and you make sure there's something you do that aligns with those goals every day. It might be 5 minutes, It might be an hour, but you make it a priority. Oh, Eric, Stop. Don't tell me you're too busy. Because guess what? I can tell you right now, if something happened to you and you were put in the hospital for the afternoon, somehow you would survive, right? If you had, and this won't happen, right? But let's say you had a heart attack or a medical issue and you had to get rushed to the hospital and you were in the hospital from 1 to 6 p.m. Your life would continue. Whatever was supposed to happen that day didn't happen. If something happened to your child, if something happened to a loved one, and you had to go in and deal with that and you weren't at work, guess what? That somehow would have got done. So we want to say how important things are, but at the end of the day, they're not as important as we want to believe. You can always find time if something is a high priority. You can always find time if you want to. You just have to decide. And I'll tell you this. Just want to take a quick break. I hope you're enjoying the show. I have this free webinar that I would love for you to check out if you want to become a world-class CISO. Everything starts with a decision, and decisions are driven by pain. So when I'm working with somebody and they go, oh, Eric, I can't possibly do that. And I always love when people go, oh, Eric, I don't have as much free time as you do. And I laugh. I'm like, really? I said, spend a day with me. I don't think you can keep up, right? By noon, you'd be taking a nap, right? I move very quick. I accomplish a ton, but it's all about prioritization. So it looks like I'm going slow when in reality, I'm going super, super fast because it's all about prioritization. So when people are like, oh, Eric, I can't possibly do that. I say, okay, when you have enough pain, come back. Because pain ultimately is the driver. And when you get enough pain where you're like, I've had it, enough is enough, and you decide that you are going to make yourself and your life mission a priority, that's when everything changes. So it might not be easy, it might not be simple, but I will tell you right now, anybody, no matter who you are or what you do, if you make a decision and you decide to focus on yourself, you can find 2 to 3 hours a day. Other things might not get done, but guess what? Who cares? They're lower priority. And I'll give you a little trick that I do. When I start working with most CISOs or people that want to be CISOs, and I go in and I ask them, describe your day to me. Tell me about your day. And I'm like, okay, Eric, I get up typically at 5 or 6 in the morning, and I intend to go to the gym or exercise, but I check my phone and there's an urgent text message from one of my engineers or somebody who works in another country who has a different time zone and they're up working and there's a crisis. So I have to run into work, deal with that crisis, deal with that issue, put out that fire. And then it's usually about 9:30. I grab a cup of coffee. And as I'm walking by the boss's office or COO, CFO, they call me in and there's another emergency or issue. And I deal with that. And then I deal with some other issues with my staff and team. And the next thing I know, it's 7 p.m. and I head home and I have dinner with the family. I might sit on the couch for a little bit, relax, go to sleep, and start it all over again. Essentially, the life of most CISOs is firefighting. It's basically reactive firefighting that's controlled by somebody else. You are not in control of your life, right? The horse is being controlled by somebody else. You are letting external factors control and manage what you do. Now, the pushback I get is, but Eric, those things have to be done. If I didn't handle them, they wouldn't get handled. And then I always smile. Let go of the ego. Let go, right? You're important. I love you. Don't get mad at me. You're not that important. What if you were sick? You're telling me you never, ever took a sick day. Oh, I did. So what happened on that day? Oh, I guess other people handled those fires, right? I guess somehow, right, those fires got done if you weren't there. You tell me you never go on vacation? You tell me emergencies never come up with your kids, your family, your life where you don't show up? Of course they do. But we tend to forget about those situations. But when you're not there and you're not available, other people step up and things still get done. So always remember that. I'm not saying neglect your job, but I'm saying that the priority of the fires might not be as high a priority. Because yes, in a perfect world, when I work with new CISOs, they always agree that if they had 6 months to be proactive and fix everything in the organization, that there'd be a lot less fires. But when they came in, they inherited this mess, they inherited the firestorms, and they were never able to fix it. So now they're in this vicious cycle where days turn into weeks, turn into months, turn into years, and they never get to fix everything because it's reactive. And they recognize that, yes, if they had the time to be proactive, they could fix and stop a lot of these fires from occurring in the future, but they never have that luxury of that time to do that. So here's an interesting exercise. What if there was an issue at your company and half your team got laid off? So let's say you have a 6-person team. What if 3 of them got laid off and you only had a 3-person team? Eric, what if I'm a 1-person team? Well, guess what? You're not really a CISO then, right? You have the title, but let's say if you're a 1-person team, you're not really a CISO because you're really a security engineer with that title, right? You might have some of that strategic functionality, but you're not focused priority on that. Now, not bad as a stepping stone, but let's just be honest, that's not really a CISO. A CISO has a team that reports to them, and a CISO is the translator. They have a technical team that does the technical work, and they translate between technical and strategy, and their main focus is strategic and on the business. That's a true CISO. But even if you're one person, what if the company came and said, listen, we can't afford you full-time anymore, and we're going to switch you to a part-time. We're only going to have you work 20 hours or 30 hours a week instead of 40, 50, or 60, whatever you work. We're going to cut your hours in half. What if that happened? What if you and your team got cut in half? Somehow you'd still function, right? So you would still somehow get through each day, get through each week, and get through each month. Maybe some of the low priority fires don't get addressed. Maybe other items don't get done, but the bottom line is you would still be able to function. So the exercise, which is very powerful if you can actually do it, is this. That just happened. You got cut in half and your team got cut in half. So instead of you working full-time, you're working half-time. Instead of you having 6 team members, you have 3 team members. That is effective immediately. Now you have to deal. You're only working 8 to 12 on firefighting. You only have 3 instead of 6 people. That's the reality. That is the reality. Whether you like it or not, that is now the new parameters. Yes, it might feel a little uncomfortable. You might want to fight it. You might not want to play by those rules. But if that truly did happen and you really played by it, you would adapt and adjust, and you would survive. And here's what I just did. Now, you take that other half of your time and those other half of the resources, and you now focus on being proactive. You now focus on fixing those core problems. You now focus on doing what needs to be done to accomplish your life's mission and to actually make the organization secure. And CISOs that actually have the discipline to do this, it's life-changing. Instead of putting out fires from 8 in the morning till 6 p.m., they only put out fires from 8 to 12 because they're only part-time. Then from 12 to 6, they work on the strategy, being proactive, fixing the organization. Now, instead of having 6 people firefight, you only have 3. And like I said, this happens in the real world. I see it all the time where organizations lose contracts. The revenue isn't there. Major issues like the pandemic hit. I know with the pandemic, many security teams got cut in half, or 90% of it got migrated over to IT and support to allow the company to function. So this is a reality. This absolutely could happen. And if it does, then you would adjust and adapt your time. So one thing I want you to start doing, and pick something that's comfortable. I recommend starting with 20 minutes. So I do this on Sunday. Some people I know like doing it Wednesday, Thursday. Some people do it Friday. I just find Sunday is a good day for me to focus, align, adapt to what I need to do. But pick a day each week where you go in and you say, what is my mission? What is my purpose for being on this planet? What do I want to accomplish? Don't worry about getting it perfect. Something is better than nothing. It will adapt over time, and that's okay. But put something down. Then do the exercise I mentioned where you say the top 3 things. What are the top 3 things, 3 goals that will help me accomplish that mission? Now, here's the cool planning exercise. Take a piece of paper and put a cross in the middle. Put one line down the middle and a cross, so you have 4 quadrants. So you're putting a line down the middle, a line vertical, and a line horizontal in the middle of the page. So you're going to have 4 quadrants. The first upper left quadrant is goal 1. The second quadrant, which is the upper right, is goal 2. The lower left is goal 3. And the bottom right, this is the powerful one, is distractions. Those are things that you do that are a distraction. And now I want you to brainstorm. What is everything I need to do this week? Look at your calendar, look at the meetings, look at everything that you have to do for this coming week and start categorizing it. Is this aligned with goal 1? Is this aligned with goal 2? Is this aligned with goal 3? And guess what? If it's not aligned with one of those 3, guess where it goes? The distraction, right? And what you're going to find is a lot, if not most, of what you do is actually in that lower right-hand distraction comment. Most of what you're doing is not actually aligned with those goals. Now, no cheating, right? I do this exercise with folks, and I look at them like, wait a second. What you put under goal 1 are not goal 1 items, right? But they cheated. They didn't want to put it in distraction, right? But be honest with yourself. So what you're going to realize with most people, it's so bizarre, but most of our time we're spending doing things that aren't really important to what we need to do. That's the difference between average and successful and world class. We all have 24 hours in a day. Nobody has more time. Nobody has more. Everybody has 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour. There's no exception to that. But it's how we spend that time. World-class people spend most of their time, if not all of their time, in one of the 3 non-distraction boxes. Average and not successful people spend most, if not all, of their time in the lower quadrant, in the distraction realm. Now, just so we're clear, I'm not saying that right away stop doing those, because some of those things, unfortunately, people are relying on you. That's part of your job. So if you went to your boss and you're like, listen, I'm not doing this, and this anymore because it's a distraction. See, right? You might lose your job, right? I'm not saying to do that. That's not a smart thing to do. But I'm saying awareness is important. Understanding how you spend your time is very important. And what I want you to do is, for the first week, I just want every day for you to spend 20 minutes on goal 1, an additional 20 minutes on goal 2, an additional 20 minutes on goal 3. So all I'm asking for the first week is to do 2 things. 1, be aware of where you're spending your time. And 2, spend an hour a day across those 3 goals. Now, the way I do it, and it's become second habit, is my executive assistant, and if you don't have one, that's fine. You can do it yourself. I color code my calendar. So my calendar is color coded based on goal 1, goal 2, goal 3, or distractions. So I can look at any day or any week, depending on the view that I want, and I can very quickly see how much time I'm spending on my goals and how much time I'm spending on my distractions. Now, I will tell you, in a perfect, ideal world, if you got to true optimization, we could say that you'd have no distractions. However, I don't think that, at least for me, that's not a reality, right? Because there's things that might not align with our goals that for us is a distraction that unfortunately are important for other people or other areas. And you can only have 3 goals. So I'm at the point now where I probably spend, depending on the week, about 80 to 90% of my time on one of those 3 goals, and maybe 10 to 20% on what we would consider non-optimal, right? Distractions. I'm still working on that. So I'm not saying this is going to happen overnight, but you want to at least raise the awareness and start putting at least 20 minutes for each of your goals. And then over time, you can slowly increase the work on the goals and decrease the work on the distractions. Now, here's the most important part. What you're going to learn very, very quickly is your current job or work aligned with your goals. Because I was working with one person, and he was like, Eric, I can't get out of 90% distractions. And I started looking at what he was putting under distractions. And I realized that the current job that he was doing was not aligned. So I had the discussion with him going, listen, I'm not saying quit your job. I'm not one of those. I recognize you do have family and other matters, but you need to recognize that there's a huge disconnect here. What you're spending most of your time is not aligned with your mission or goal, and you are not going to be fully satisfied with that. So you need to put together a plan to get a new job, get new employment that's aligned with that mission. And we were able to do that within a 4-month period. So getting awareness is important. So as I start finishing up this week's Life of a CISO podcast, I want you to go in, and if you haven't seen it, just search on Bad Boys Horse Scene. I think if you put that in, it'll come up in Google. And it's a 2-minute clip. It's a great little clip, but it goes through and really goes through that little scene I covered in the beginning of where are you going. And I just want you today, tomorrow, and for the next couple of days, at multiple times in a day, just ask yourself, where am I going? Where am I going in life? And is it aligned with my missions? What is driving me? And what is my current focus? And start doing that little chart. I recommend Saturday or Sunday, goal 1, goal 2, goal 3, and distractions, and just start seeing where you're spending your time. Start color coding your calendar to raise awareness and commit to at least an hour a week, 20 minutes for each of those goals. Once you have that down, then you could go to 30 minutes per goal, hour and a half, 40, 50, 60. Where I am now is I spend about 1 to 1.5 hours per each goal. So on any given day, I'm going to be spending 3 to 5 hours directly on those goals. And then the other 3 to 4 hours are supporting the business and other things that need to be done. So I'm not saying it'll be 100%, but the more time you spend with your goals that are aligned with your missions, the more you're going to become a world-class CISO. And it all starts with awareness. So once again, thank you for joining me on this week's edition. If I can help or support you in any way, please go to secureanchor.com/CISO. The stuff I do on these podcasts, we delve into so much more detail on my coaching sessions. So if you want some help or guidance, definitely reach out to me. I'd love to help you. Otherwise, I'm giving you the tools. Do it yourself. And I'm just going to leave you with one simple question. Where are you going?